Good morning and welcome to the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com, coming to you live from the Steven Singer Studios, as we do every day from 6 to 7 a.m. We've been going beyond 7 a.m., and, well, we've been starting a little after 6 a.m. lately, just because I have to somehow harness my rage when it comes to the 76ers and it comes to Doc Rivers. I cannot tell you enough. And if you've been listening to me, you've known me for a while, you know I'm not a fire the coach guy. You know I'm not the guy to jump out, because ultimately, if the players play well, if the players hit shots, or in any sport, if the players do what they're supposed to do, and that is perform, we're not talking about the head coach. If Ben Simmons developed his game into that MVP he could have been, or at least that MVP caliber talent he could have been, if he just developed a jump shot or even hit his free throws or finished at the rim, all right, there's a lot more there than I thought. But if he just did that, then we're not really talking so much about Brett Brown as much as we did. Now, you can always look at the coach and say, well, he's supposed to develop these players, but I am not the person that jumps at the, oh, well, fire the coach. Like, that's not me. It takes a lot. Like, it takes Bryce Harper laughing at Gabe Kapler's curveball machine idea to go, maybe Gabe Kapler isn't the guy for this locker room. Like, I like Gabe, God, I wish him all the luck in the world, and certainly had a lot of success out there in San Francisco already. Good for him, but it wasn't a good mix here. It was time to move on from Brett Brown. I wanted Doc Rivers here. I said they needed authority in here. They needed somebody that the league respects, that other players around the league respect. That's what they need. Then they got that in Doc Rivers. Unfortunately, they didn't get a good coach in Doc Rivers. He's had some great players throughout his career. He's gotten a lot of run out of that one championship that he won with those 3 Hall of Famers he was playing or coaching in Boston, as we all know the story goes. And we have seen choke job after choke job after choke job in the playoffs with Doc Rivers teams when he's had some pretty damn good talent. And unfortunately for him, in his last year in LA with the Clippers, he had Paul George and he had Kawhi Leonard. And for whatever reason, those 2 stars didn't really like what Doc Rivers was bringing to the table. So Doc was out in LA and he was in Philadelphia. And now I look at Doc Rivers and I think, what is it you say you do here? And I told you last week, I am done with Doc. And I know it's some crazy thought, oh, they're not going to fire a guy 6 games left in the regular season. And no, they're not. But you know what? I wouldn't blame them if they did. Because what happened last night with this team playing their 3rd straight loss and collapsing the way they did in this particular game against the 20-win Detroit, well, now 21-win Detroit Pistons, and then to hear Doc say what he had to say after the game. And if you haven't heard it by now, the James Harden cut, oh, I'll play that for you. And if you haven't heard what beyond that, I think it's actually worse. Because Doc talks about how, oh, well, you can see it coming. Really? You could, really, Doc? You can see another 15-point fourth quarter coming? Then what did you do about it? What did you say on the bench? What did you draw up for these guys and try to get them going? Well, what was it? What did you do? Because what I never hear from Doc Rivers, and I know I'm a broken record because I said all this last week, when is it ever your fault, Doc? What was your fault? Like, what was your problem? Like, if you look at the stat line from last night, for instance, check this out. Joel Embiid, pretty nice game, right? 11 for 19 from the floor, 14 for 16 from the foul line, hit a 3, 15 rebounds, 37 points. That's a pretty good night. You know what Joel Embiid focused on after the game? The number right there under T.O., 7 turnovers. Joel Embiid didn't want to talk about the bench and how the bench struggled, 3 for 12 from the floor, 1 for 8 from beyond the arc. You know what Joel Embiid wanted to talk about? How Joel Embiid had 7 turnovers. And that's your MVP candidate. Well, that is your MVP. That's your Sixers MVP. That's your overall league-wide MVP candidate. I said yesterday, and I still believe he'll be the runner-up. But he focuses on what he didn't do well. And this is a guy like Joel Embiid, who so often we have talked about how he wants the individual accolades, whether it's Defensive Player of the Year, whether that's MVP. We'd like to hear him talk more about winning a championship. But in this particular instance, when they collapsed in the fourth quarter, another 15-point fourth quarter, he said, well, you know, I look at me. I don't look at the bench. I mean, I'm supposed to be the guy. And I had those 7 turnovers. Yeah, I got to look at myself there. Doc Rivers, what would you have done different? Like, the thing I didn't hear, and I'm not in the media session, so I can't ask the question, But Doc, what are you saying to the guys as you're supposedly seeing this fall come? Like, what are you saying to this team? Are you just saying, "Oh, you guys, you gotta be better. You gotta be better"? Like, what are you saying to these guys? I couldn't believe what I was watching last night. And then to make it worse, I'm watching the Sixers falter. I'm watching the Sixers play awful basketball. And then like I'm flipping around and there's the Nets and there's the Bucks. And the Bucks, fresh off of beating the Sixers, rallying to beat the Sixers, they have another great performance and they go up against the Nets at home this time. And they take care of business against the Nets in overtime. Giannis Antetokounmpo is hitting step-back threes. Then he's going to the line, and he's hitting both free throws to give them a 1-point lead, and they end up winning the game. Kevin Durant ended up missing the game winner, but it was just a battle to the very end. The Bulls get 50 points for DeMar DeRozan last night, a team that was supposed to be falling apart, and they're playing against the Clippers team who just got Paul George back, and the Bulls go out and they win that game. I'm watching these other games take place around the NBA, and I'm going, well, that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to close these games out. You're supposed to win. And the Sixers and Doc Rivers and, yes, James Harden, and they just don't see it fit to have to win. And I'm like, I'm trying to sell myself on an idea where the Sixers, this is all on purpose, right? They want to make sure they don't face the Nets in the first round of the playoffs. They want to make sure that they get as much run out of the playoffs as possible, let other teams beat themselves up, let the other teams beat up on the Nets, and then that's the team they want. Yeah. Later on in the playoffs, just make sure that strategically they're having a mini tank. They're having a mini process right now to avoid the Nets. Like, that's what's going on, right? Nope. And the way they played the fourth quarter, there was 3 straight possessions last night. If they weren't consecutive, they're pretty damn close, where not only did the Sixers turn the ball over, but they fell down while they were doing, like they didn't even have their footing. They didn't even have their feet under them, which shows me that they're pressing. They're trying to make something happen that's not there. And in trying to regroup, when they realize it's not there, they lose their footing, lose the ball, goes down the other end, and Kate Cunningham, another 3. Like, that's what unfolded last night. You just got beat by a bad team. You're supposed to be a great team, and you got beat by a team that has 20 wins on the season. We always want coaches to hold players accountable, and I'm all for that. And I would not have, and I'm even watching the game last night, and I'm thinking, this has got nothing to do with rotations. I don't have a big problem with what Doc's doing. These guys aren't performing. And then to hear Doc say what he said after the game is just infuriating. And the James Harden cut is the only one. It's just the beginning of what was infuriating about Doc last night, as far as what he had to say after the game. And then look, what do we always say? We always want coaches to hold players accountable, right? We love accountability. Don't tell us that we're not seeing what we're seeing. Probably more so than any sport because of our history with basketball in the city and the Big Five and a court on every block, whatever it might be. We probably as a city know basketball better than any sport that we watch. If you were to pluck a fan out of the stands to coach, they would probably have most success in basketball. So watching this unfold last night, I'm thinking, anyone there? There's a couple of people that are showing in Detroit with Sixers gear on. You guys want to go down there and coach them up? But one of the things we always ask for is accountability. We love that. But we also want to hear, Coach, you hold yourself accountable. What could you do differently? All right, when James Harden's struggling, what are you doing to try to get him going? Are you drawing up a play for him? Are you trying to get the offense to go through him? All right, what are you doing to try to get him going? If your bench is only hitting 3 shots for you in a game, 3 of 12, let me say it one more time, what are you doing to get the bench going? What are you saying to this team during timeouts? Are you using your timeouts at the right time? If you see something coming that's not looking so good, what are you doing about it? And I never hear that from Doc Rivers. I hear, well, the players are standing around, and we had a bad shoot around, and it felt like we didn't have a lot of energy. Oh, at the shoot around, you didn't have a lot of energy. So what did you say then? When you saw the problem, how did you address it? I never hear that. I never hear, well, no, maybe I should have said something to her. Like, I never hear him second guess himself. Hold yourself accountable too. Like I always say, I never thought after Andy Reid left, I'd kill just to hear one. I got to do a better job from Doc Rivers. Like I never thought I'd ever be at a point where I needed to hear that from a coach again, and I need to hear it at least right now. So Doc Rivers acknowledges that he's part of the damn problem. Anyway, here's Doc last night. Here he is, just his initial reaction to the loss.
We just stood around. They're switching. We just played outside, didn't move the ball as a group. You know, at halftime, it was a tough game. Really, I thought offensively we just stood around. They're switching. We just played outside, didn't move the ball as a group. You know, at halftime, we were shooting 42%, I think. And I just thought the fouls bailed us out. But we were awful in the first half, too. And I just thought we played with very little life tonight. Didn't play together tonight at all. That's something we've been doing. So it's just one of those nights, but tough one.
I got to do a better job of cutting sound. There, I'll hold myself accountable. There. What, did I record that on CD? What the hell was that? Anyway, so that was Doc. We stood around. Okay. So when you were standing around, how'd you try to put the quarter in the machine, Doc? How'd you try to get him going a little bit there, Glenn? Did you try to do that, or just let it? You just let it happen. You just kept going. Oh, okay. I see. Bold strategy, Cotton. Bold strategy. This is the cut that's making its rounds on social media, and you'll be seeing this one a lot. They even played this on SportsCenter. That's how you know. Doc Rivers, nationally renowned, respected head coach, and they played him blaming James Harden. Here's the cut that you're going to be hearing a bunch of times throughout the day.
The bench unit struggled compared to their bench.
Well, they didn't struggle. You know, they didn't get a lot of shots, you know, in their defense. I think during that stretch, it was more James, than them. So, it's just a tough night.
Oh, the big balls on Doc. Really? I was like, no, hold on. I need context. So I went back to the press conference, listened to the whole thing just to make sure that I heard the reporter right. I think that's our man, Kai Carlin, asking the question. And he says, well, the bench struggled tonight. And they did. Again, 3 for 12. 3 for 12 from the floor, 1 for 8 from beyond. That's struggling. That is struggling, okay? I don't really think the bench struggled as much as it was James. What? Pause. Okay. It wasn't the bench as much as it was James. Let me just sink in.
The bench unit struggled compared to their bench.
Well, they didn't struggle. They didn't get a lot of shots, in their defense. I think during that stretch, it was more James, than them. So, it's just a tough night.
Who the hell do you think you think you're Pop? That's what I remember from another question Kai Carlin asked him. What about this was coaching? Oh, did you ask Pop that question? Well, Pop has 5 championships. You got 1. And Pop's won championships with different teams, and you won one with 1. God, arrogance. And then I don't understand how when your bench has struggled throughout the season. In fact, the worst bench, I believe, shooting percentage-wise, since the All-Star break, you won't acknowledge that the bench, instead of saying, well, yeah, we got to hit our shots, you choose to say James Harden. Now, when I first heard it, I was like, I need context. I was like, is he saying that James Harden, hold on, yes, the bench struggled, but James Harden, he struggled more? Or does James Harden got to get them more shots if he's on with 3 bench players, for instance? What are you? And it's no, it sounds exactly like you thought at first. Your gut reaction to this, your knee-jerk reaction to this was the accurate reaction to this. Blaming James Harden. Now, here's the thing, and I hate going to the box score again, but I was looking at this last night, and I couldn't help but think. James Harden, in there, 38 minutes, 18 points. All right. Okay. 9 rebounds, 7 assists. 8 for 9 from the free throw line. That's James Harden's line. You take out that James Harden line, that James Harden name, and you slide in B. Simmons there, and he has this line. Doc Rivers is acting like he's got the second coming of Wilt Chamberlain. Like, James Harden did other things. We always say it about like a guy like Tobias Harris. We've said it about Ben Simmons a million times when he was here in Philadelphia. Oh, he did other things. Maybe the shot wasn't falling as well, so we did other things to help the team win. James Harden apparently doesn't get that treatment. James Harden gets blame in that regard. Ridiculous. And I can't tell you enough. I was watching the game last night, and I can't even be, literally throughout the game, I'm like, I can't even be mad at Doc. These guys are playing like crap. And it shouldn't be the head coach's job in a professional sport to get a team going each and every night. Like, the team should be self-motivated. Every once in a while, and actually Brett Brown, it's one of his best quotes when he was here. He said a head coach only has so many bullets to fire. Because if you keep on firing, eventually you run out, and the team ain't scared of you anymore. Doc Rivers, can I get one? Can you fire one bullet? Can we get one shot? Like, nothing. And he's just sitting there, and it feels like Doc Rivers has quit on his own team. It feels like he has looked at the situation, because like Doc is not an idiot, okay? He knows what he has in this team. I think he's looking at this team and he's going, I don't see how this team is making it past the second round, so if we don't do that, I'm out of here. So I'm getting fired. I feel like Doc Rivers has thrown his hands up in the air already with this team and gone, maybe we'll make it to the second round. Maybe. Hey, they draw the Bulls in the first round. Yeah, all right, let's party. Now we're talking second round action, babe. I wasn't even mad at Doc last night until I heard him open his damn mouth after the game. Now, this is another infuriating thing. I told you before that will cut there with James Harden. It was James. That is infuriating. But this is where it comes more to Doc.
Hang around, you let them hang around, and then eventually when they kind of catch.
Yeah, but you could see it coming from the first quarter. You know, I think we got up 8 or 10 at one point, and I think we had 3 turnovers in a row. It felt like every time in the first half, at least, we had a chance to do anything, we would turn the ball over, miss a layup, something. But the whole game didn't feel good. I thought the only quarter was the first quarter. I thought we had a chance to separate ourselves. Other than that, give them credit. They played hard, loose, and free. And as the game, it felt like an NCAA tournament where we were the number 1 seed. As the game came down, all of a sudden they got looser, we got tighter.
If you saw this coming, what'd you do about it? And I would have loved to have heard that question. Maybe reporters feel like they can't ask that question given the response he had before about, hey, what about this loss was you? Would you ask Pop that question? Yeah. if the team was struggling as much as they were, it was so infuriating. It was just, first off, you had to go with the gut punch of watching that team lose to the Pistons. And then seeing other teams around the league, like I referenced earlier with the Nets, the Bucks, even the Nets who lost playing the Bucks, they were battling it out to the very end. And you had to go through that whole gut punch of that, and then Doc had to speak afterwards, and then you just felt like you went from a gut punch to a sharp kick to the testicles. Okay, there you go. Anyway, so Sixers got 6 games left in the season, and cool. We're all having fun. Anyway. Let me also let you hear from Joel Embiid, because what is the biggest problem is how they play on the court overall. And your stars, especially Joel Embiid, can't have 7 turnovers. As Joel Embiid said, he can't have 7 turnovers after the game. But one of the other problems Joel Embiid highlighted with this team in particular is finding out their chemistry. Still trying to do that. They have a great first couple of games together with James Harden here. And Tyrese Maxey's going off. Tobias Harris is showing a couple of flashes here and there of how he can help the team. You feel like you have a big 3. You feel like you definitely have a big 2. Feel like maybe you got a big 4. Ben started hitting some shots a couple of games ago. That's nice. Danny Green started hitting some shots, which I forgot he could do that. And like you were feeling a little bit better. And then last night, So here is Joel Embiid trying to break down what needs to happen with this team going forward.
We still really working on the chemistry. We working on the spacing where everybody should be at, and it's a work in progress. We don't have a lot of time, but that's why we have shoot around and practices every day to try to get on the same page. Hopefully by the time the playoffs come around, we know what to do.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. But regardless of chemistry, I just go to our coach.
It's play on, dude.
Yep. No matter what happens with the chemistry, listen to Jim Lynam. Just keep on playing. Keep on playing. Sixers are bad. They lost that game to the Pistons, and then up next tomorrow, they got Charlotte for a 12:30 tip-off right there. Let's see here. Let's count this up one more time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games left in this season. I was right. There you go. We're all having fun here. We're all having fun. You know what is fun? This. Yeah. That's fun. Look at that lineup. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. Loving a lineup. Kyle Schwarber, Reese Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, JT Real Muto, Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, third base, Bryson Stott. Everybody, Stott. And then Mickey Moniak rounding it out, just center fielder. Zach Eflin pitched yesterday, so that happened. But all Bryson Stott does is hit. So it made me go, hey, this Bryson Stott guy, professional hitter. That was my brilliant tweet yesterday. I am pretty excited. Pretty excited about the Philadelphia Phillies. I really can't wait for the season to start now. And I just feel like this lineup is going to smash throughout the entire season. And I know it's going to happen. There's going to be a run. Here's where I'm at right now, and I blame the Sixers for this pessimism. There's going to be moments where they just are hitting bombs, folks. They're going to be, hitting balls from South Philly into Center City, man. They're just going to be belting those balls out of the park. And we're all going to feel great. And then there's going to be a series where, they score 2 runs. And then we'll all hate them. But we'll eagerly wait for them to snap out of it. But those will be the ebbs and flows of a 162-game season. But just knowing that the potential is there at any moment for this lineup to break out, and seriously, this is probably going to be your opening day lineup. Without question, this is going to be your opening day lineup. Like Bryson Stott, I double dog dare you, Phillies. And this is a courtesy of our friends. This is a graphic from NBC Sports Philly. I double dog dare you, Phillies, to not have Bryson Stott or Mickey Moniak in your opening day roster. I can understand maybe one because, your MO with prospects isn't always great. I can understand one not making it, but Bryson Stott needs to be in that lineup. Bryson Stott needs to be your third baseman, not your part-time third baseman, not your part-time designated hitter, not your split to shortstop or second base or outfield, God forbid. He needs to be your third baseman. Go play third. There's been plenty of great shortstops that have moved over to third base and handled that transition very well. You've seen it happen with Alex Rodriguez when he went to New York to play with Derek Jeter. Hell, back in the day, Cal Ripken went from third to short, then back to third again. They can do it. You can play shortstop. You can play anywhere. Bryson Stott is a shortstop. That is where his position, I believe, will be of the future. But right now, have him at the hot corner. Break him in at the major league level that way. And put him down there in the order behind a bunch of mashers and see how this guy does. I'm watching the game yesterday. Bryson Stott, he does the thing that you want your big league hitters to do. He goes with the pitch. There are some guys that can get away, great hitters. And Manny Ramirez is the guy I always think of when it comes to this. There are great hitters that go up to the plate, and their only plan is to get their pitch. That's it. It's no, I'm not swinging at that. It's not my pitch. I'm not swinging at that. And it's in the strike zone, but the hell with that, I'll foul off a couple. Until I get that ball right here, I ain't swinging. Or I'm not, at least trying to put it in play. But Bryson Stott just goes with the pitch. Yesterday was a perfect example. They pitch him in tight. I think it was his first hit of the game. They pitch him in tight. Next pitch was on the outside corner of the plate. He drops the barrel down on it, puts it in the left field. Like, that's all. How many? Why is that so difficult? And he just goes with the pitch. He grinds out at bats most of the time. I love that. I love his approach to the plate. I always say this about the young players, and I'll say it forever because I think this is how you sum it up the best. In moments like this, where it's spring training or it's preseason or you're just getting ready for the season, whatever it might be, just show you belong. That's it. The fact that he's hitting over 500 doesn't make me go, oh, he's got to be at the majors. Like, certainly that helps. It's the fact that he looks like he belongs. He doesn't look like he's in over his head. He doesn't look like he doesn't look like he's going through the audition of his life to try to make it to the big leagues right out of the gate, right out of spring training. He doesn't look like that. He looks calm. He looks cool. He looks like he is exactly where he should be. Give him the opportunity to be a big leaguer and see how he does. I mean, the Phillies, they looked at it with Aaron Nola, and they fast-tracked him, college guy, obviously. They fast-tracked him to the big leagues. I forget how many starts it was, but it couldn't have been more than 30 at the minor league level before all of a sudden he was up pitching in the Phillies rotation. I don't see any reason why the Phillies can't look at Bryson Stott and do the same thing. I look at a guy like, and I bring this up a lot in terms of the negative aspect of it, but if they saw something in him in the minors, they gave Scott Kingery a chance at the big league level, then they messed with him as all hell. I've highlighted many times talking about bouncing him around in the field. They tried messing with the swing, as they did with Rhys Hoskins when he got to the major league level, and then all of a sudden they weren't the same player. You're seeing Rhys start to get a little bit back to the aggression he had as a minor leaguer and when he was first getting his feet wet at the major league level. And we all remember the 11 homers in 18 games. That was just insane. But with a guy like Bryson Stott, bring him up here and let it fly. Let him start out as a major leaguer. Same thing with Mickey Moniak. Get him up here in center field. The guy is brimming with confidence right now. He's actually hitting with power, something that everyone's, oh, this kid, he can hit with power. He's 16. How are you saying he's never going to hit for power? It's ridiculous. But now he's starting to do that. And he seems like he is. I played the cuts for yesterday with him and Kevin Long. They seem like they're on the same page. They seem like they got a great plan in place to make him the best possible hitter that he can be. And finally, Mickey Moniak, as of a couple years ago, he has started to look like a man. No longer a kid that they drafted when he was 16 out of high school, number 1 overall. He now looks like a man ready to play ball. Give him that opportunity to play ball. I can't say it enough. And just in case you have a bad day today, just one more time, just look at this. I mean, first off, just NBC did a great job just having the very handsome Nick Castellanos. I'll say he's handsome. I don't give a damn. Then you have the rest of the lineup right there. It's just gorgeous. It's just so beautiful. Just think about this later today, folks. When Doc Rivers enters your brain again, just go, stop. That's it. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper. Schwarber, Harper, Castellanos, Hoskins. Just do that, and you'll feel a lot better. You'll feel a lot better about life. So there you go. There's been some Eagles conversation going on that piqued my interest. And I wasn't all about this guy in free agency, but the Eagles seem to not be coming up with any other answers here. According to Jordan Schultz, who you see on ESPN occasionally, the Eagles are kicking the tires on the honey badger, Tyrann Mathieu. Huh. Now, he's not the honey badger of old, so to speak, but when you don't have a lot going on at the position right now and you're trying to figure out what you're doing with a guy like Rodney McLeod or whoever it might be, you're trying to figure out what do we do here? Where are we going with this? And if you get linked to a name like the honey badger, you have my attention. Because now you've bolstered the defensive line, you've bolstered the linebacking core, however you're going to use Hassan Reddick. And I've made the comparison before that I'm not saying at all he is going to be Jannard Avery. He is going to be a lot better than Jannard Avery, who just signed with the Steelers. But he is going to be in that role a lot more often and a hell of a lot more successful. That's how I think the Eagles are going to use him. So you bring him in, you bring in White as the linebacker as well. You step up your game that way already. That I like. And then you bolster your secondary a little bit because whatever you have right now, you're getting somebody who's better. The only problem in this situation is that you might be overpaying for him, which you most likely will. Maybe free agency's gone on long enough where you don't have to worry about paying absolute 100% top dollar for. And then you see Bobby Wagner sign the deal that he just signed with the Rams. Oh, my God. 5-year deal. What? But you might be able to get a little bit of a break here. It's going to be an upgrade from whatever you had last year, as much as I like Rodney McLeod. So that's an interesting little tidbit that came out yesterday. Cross my fingers. We'll see what happens in that whole situation there when it comes to the Eagles and what they can do with the rest of free agency. I see the chat is absolutely bumping. Absolutely bumping. So we'll get into that just a second with our chat check. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about Destination Retirement. My man, Mike Seibert, presenting sponsor of the Farzy Show. Now, I know how it works, all right, on my digital media platforms here. You young people, right? A lot of you young people. The young people. By the way, I'm going to bring up one thing on our demographics, by the way, that I noticed yesterday that I just have to talk about. But you're mostly young. The people that are watching this, you're not even thinking about retirement yet. That's a mistake. Contact my man, Mike Seibert, and start thinking about retirement. He is a retirement income certified professional at Destination Retirement LLC, destinationretirement.com, a partner of 1847 Financial, and an advisor for Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fans only. Maybe next year, he'll get those Flyers fans involved. But when it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up current enjoyment of your income? Don't do that. The answer is to have an income stream in retirement. The only way, really, it makes sense when you think about it like this. You have to understand how retirement income streams work so that you can have direct savings in ways that you give the absolute highest income that you will get when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Is the objective to just climb the mountain and get to the top, or is the objective to climb to the top of the mountain and then be able to safely climb back down? Going up the mountain is what you'll call the accumulation phase. Going down the mountain is the distribution phase, and you want that to be as easy as possible. These are two different phases of your financial life, and each should be addressed separately. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know that college is expensive. And if you've ever thought about how it'll affect your retirement, you need to start thinking about it right now. Let Mike show you an efficient way to help pay for your kids' college and still retire on your own terms. Your first step to avoiding is this. You got to make sure you're addressing the growth cycle over by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college. You don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle, and you have to start over. You don't want that. So make sure you contact my man, Mike Seibert at destinationretirement.com. You can't get that time back when you're talking about your accumulation years. Instead, set yourself up with the ability to use vehicles that you can take money out of starting with your growth cycle over again, without starting your growth cycle over again. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings, and then your annual college savings can help your retirement savings. Mike will set up your own portal in Retirement Analyzer, and then you can use that software to help navigate through the different phases of your financial life. Your questions, well, if you have questions, make sure you contact Mike Seibert. Email him, easiest email in the world to remember, gobirds@1847financial.com. That's gobirds@1847financial.com, or call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. You can visit the website at destinationretirement.com. That's destinationretirement.com. And as always, go Birds. And hopefully one day we'll play the song again. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price every single day at Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, do what I do. When it comes to the other corner of 8th and Walnut and it comes to buying jewelry, that's the only place I go. Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven's a man you can trust in Philadelphia because he's been in the love business in Philly for over 40 years, helping people fall in love. That's what Steven likes to bring to the table in Philadelphia. He doesn't want you to feel pressure. So what does he do? He gives you the perfect price every single day. When you walk in, you don't got to worry about a discount or a promo code or anything like that. All you got to do is worry about what type of diamond you want to buy. You can have a real jewelry expert walk you through the entire process. That's what Steven offers all his customers when they walk in the door at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. So when it comes to your big jewelry purchases, do what I do. Start with my man, Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. He's got so many great things going on right now because you know what? When you think about it like this, was there anything better as a child than a warm spring day where mom would surprise you with a sweet frozen treat? Steven Singer is going to help you thank mom with the sweetest memories you have of your childhood. Steven is introducing a brand new 24-karat gold dip rose, the creamsicle. I remember mom buying a creamsicle. Oh, this thing is beautiful. You have to see it. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com and check it out. It's a real long stem rose dipped in 24-karat gold, and you can check it out right now. Today, you can order for fast and free shipping, personalized love note to mom as well, free lifetime guarantee. Order it from Steven Singer Jewelers, IHateStevenSinger.com, starting at just $59. Only available at IHateStevenSinger.com. So make sure you check out my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Let's jump into our chat check today. That locker room report brought to you by the great people of Rothman Orthopedics. When you have an orthopedic issue and you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics, you need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them, one of the 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. How about the people at PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs at PHLSportsStation.com. How about the people of Windview? Windview is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who is the biggest sports fan? You have those friends and family members who think they know everything about sports? Play them in a Windview contest and see if they could walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. You can break out the monotony of family dinners and get-togethers by playing a little quarter, a little basketball, and see how you do. But remember, it's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who is the biggest sports fan? So make sure you have yourself a good time when you download the Windview app. Before I get into the chat check, I got this for you. I was looking over the old analytics of the show, okay? And I saw that, like, we got a lot of people in America that watch the show. That's nice. That's good. And then I saw that we got some people in Canada. There's like 3% of people in Canada watching the show. Thank you, the Canadian people. I saw there's like 0.6% in Australia, which is cool because, Ben Simmons, right? Australian. Jordan Mailata, okay, in Australia. Matisse Thybulle, all right, Aussie. And then I saw Serbia. at 2.2%. And I was like, did somebody go on vacation in Serbia? Did somebody go to Serbia for vacation? Is there a Serbian person watching? Somebody hit me up in the Army and said that they watched the show overseas. I had somebody from Greece hit me up and say, hey, I'm from Philly. I live in Greece now. And I'm like, well, you win. You win at life. I just want to say to our Serbian audience, thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope whatever's going on in Serbia right now, I don't know what time it is in Serbia. I'm going to assume it's around 1 o'clock in the afternoon in Serbia. So we're a midday show. But to our loyal Serbian audience, a heartfelt thank you from the Farzy Show. Godspeed. Now let's jump into our chat check where maybe we'll get somebody from Serbia. All right. Sean Gillespie. The lineup is therapeutic. Do you want it again, folks? I know there's kids watching. I don't want to, come on. It's just, yeah. Just look at that. Yeah. Oiling and lotioning. All right. Anyway. There you go. Good morning, Kev. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Mally. April, what's popping? Kevin, hello again. Sean Gillespie, good morning to you one more time. Mally says hi, and Dan, Kev, April, darker shirt today? Is this a darker shirt today? Or are you predicting that I'd wear a darker shirt today because of the Sixers loss? One thing I can't wear, this is the problem in the old studio. I could never wear black. I'm going to start having to wear black. Like probably all black, like a black suit, like I'm going to a funeral. Because that's kind of how it feels right now when I watch the Sixers. Mullet, what's going on, Mullet? Who the hell is Doc Rivers? Is he talking about Duck? I am talking about Duck Rivers. April, fire Duck. I I would fire Doug. Jesus, I would fire Duck right now. I am so out on this guy, and the never his fault. And if you ask him about if it's his fault, oh, would you ask arguably the greatest coach in the history of the NBA that question? Well, if he wasn't doing well, yeah. Oh, and you're not, by the way, the greatest coach in the history of the NBA. You're not arguably the greatest coach in the history of the NBA. When people talk about you, they talk about choking. That's what it's come down to. And let me just straight. I respect the hell out of Doc Rivers. And I wanted him here in Philly after Brett Brown. I thought he was the perfect person to come in and be that authoritative figure. And maybe he'd be the guy that Ben Simmons would actually listen to. And I don't think, and that blew up. So that didn't work. And although I didn't agree with it, I understood his strategy last year before the playoffs of telling you, even in the playoffs, I'm telling you how great Ben Simmons was every night. Oh, man, this is amazing. This guy's incredible. You want me to take Ben Simmons out of a game? Well, yeah, if he's not doing well. And then he took Ben Simmons out of a game multiple times. So for me, it absolutely backfired. But listening to these post-game press conferences and never hearing him go, well, what I messed up, that I could have done this, I could have done that. Like, no, I never hear that from him. And although I'll say it a million times, I'm always a players first guy. It comes down to the players. If James Harden doesn't shoot 2 for 8 consistently from beyond the arc, we're not talking about this because that's a much better shooter. But we don't see that. And we don't see Doc taking any accountability for himself. And I feel like, in all honesty, a guy doesn't say what he's been saying and somehow he's still all in on this team. I think Doc has gotten to a point already where he's throwing his hands up in the air and just going, I don't know what to do with this. And if that's the case, I don't want him coaching this team in the playoffs. You kidding me? I thought this whole thing was about not wasting the prime of Joel Embiid's career. Kind of feels like that right now with Doc Rivers as the head coach. Seems people are in agreement with firing Duck. Dan Schwartz, hello again. April, bench has been on the struggle bus all year. Terrible bench plus terrible coaching equals losses like this. That's an accurate formula. Sean Gillespie, you can't question Duck Rivers. Would you question Phil Jackson? No, I would not. April, no, because Phil would blind me with the multiple rings. Well played, April. Mullet, the Nets-Bucks game showed a different caliber of basketball, sadly. Of course it has. Here was the most frustrating thing about Ben Simmons' career in Philadelphia, especially this year. Giannis improves his game. Giannis Antetokounmpo, will he shoot a 3? He won't shoot a 3. Now he's hitting step-back threes. And Ben Simmons didn't improve at all in any of those categories. But I can't go back to it enough. I'm sorry. I'm going to show this one more time. Oh, not that one. I'll show that again later. But again, I can't go back to this enough. James Harden's line on the night is like a line you would salivate over if his name was Ben Simmons. Salivate over. Anyway. So because I showed the box score, I'll show the lineup one more time. There you go. Feel better about life, folks. Duck is... that tattoo... that tattoo hair Duck's got is bleeping up his coaching. Well said, Mally. Mullet. The next Bucks game, yes. Jim Grasmeter, what's up, buddy? Grasmeter, what's up, buddy? Good morning, all. At least it's Friday. You know what I got to do today, folks? I got to drive to Pittsburgh again. Before I was out there for I don't want to say my cousin after yesterday's story, but before I drove out there for a relative's wedding, now I got to drive out there today with my mom, my wife, and we're taking Leo. We're taking the 2-month-old because my wife doesn't want to leave the 2-month-old alone for a weekend. We're not alone, but just she doesn't want to leave him for the weekend. So our awesome nanny is going to have little Toots, and then we're going to go out to Pittsburgh. The 4 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4. Leo, me, my mom, and my wife. We got to drive to Pittsburgh. I usually listen to podcasts. I used to listen to comics a lot on the road trip, but it's like my mom's a very holy and devout woman. I don't know the podcasts I listen to she'd be a fan of. And I mean, I don't listen to crazy stuff, but I listen to podcasts where they say the F word and stuff. And my mom, this is my mom's reaction every time the F word gets said. I'm not even kidding. She cringes still. And I still cringe if I drop an F-bomb around mom. Oh, man, I go to confession immediately. Eternal damnation for me if I say that in front of mom. So, yeah, I'm like, what are we going to listen to with mom in the car? She'll probably want to say the rosary. And after those 3 hours are up, we'll still have 2 more hours in the car. Oh, and I'm a typical dude, and I'm not a typical dude. I'm sure ladies don't like doing this either. But I've had my share road trips with women, and they're definitely more of the "can we stop to pee" than anybody, than either gender, than any of the genders, I should say. So for me, when it comes to driving, I am a nonstop vehicle, and I've told you guys before, I've made it back from Pittsburgh toll to toll in 3.5 hours. No matter what that John Barchard fellow wants to disagree with me on, I've done it many times. But middle of the day, mom, baby, wife in the car, I am feeling this is going to be a 6-hour trip. I have made sandwiches, fish sandwiches, because it's a Friday during Lent for me, for those that aren't Catholic. No meat on Fridays, and during Lent. And so I made fish sandwiches for me and my mom. That'll score points, right? If I made fish sandwiches, maybe that'll buy me one podcast where they use the F word. Maybe. If I play my cards right. If I use that good tartar sauce, or if I use that Thousand Island dressing. Ooh, yeah, there you go. Anyway, back to the chat. But yes, Jim Grassmeter, at least it's Friday. That's why I went down my Family Guy alley. Do they re-sign Harden after this season if they get knocked out of the first round? Dan, in all honesty, I don't think so. I think they go after other things, and I think the other thing they go after is Bradley Beal. And there's a chance they keep Embiid, Harden, and Beal. Or get Beal. Excuse me. Dan Schwartz. Wow. TGIF. Yes, it is. Thank goodness. Duck River starting to sound like Andy at the end of his run with the Eagles. It was the 2010 game, if I'm not mistaken, the first time we really heard Andy Reid throw anybody under the proverbial bus. And do you remember what he said? We can all count. And it was in reference to David Akers missing, I want to say it was it was at least 2 field goals in that game against the Packers. We can all count. Wow, he acknowledged the player didn't perform. And of all people, it was David Akers. Oh, April, that's great. I take full responsibility. I'd kill to hear that from Doc. Alyssa, good morning, Alyssa. Happy Friday to you. Jim saying they always stand around on defense. They've been doing it all year. They've been leading the league and giving up wide open threes. Certainly what it feels like. Crazy throwing Harden under the bus for his crappy coaching. April, fine point. Oh, Ray, what's going on, Ray? They should get the film of Villanova and watch how you move the ball around. It's horrible how they just stand around. Stagnant. It's not really a happy Friday because thanks, Sixers. Very true, Alyssa. April, hello again. Alyssa, Doc is more likely to blame the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man than himself for a loss. Okay. Alyssa, you can't just drop a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man reference and then expect me not to go on a Ghostbusters tangent. I'm going to show restraint. I'm going to show maturity. I'm going to show growth because I really went out of my way with that Pittsburgh road trip stuff. But if you have any advice on what I can listen to in the car with mom, Brian Regan is a great comedian to listen to with mom because he's clean. So my mom does love Brian Regan, and I love Brian Regan, so probably a Brian Regan thing. Although my wife does not like Brian Regan. You know why? Because my wife is a barbarian, and she prefers raunchy comedy. Anyway, not that there's anything wrong with that. They lose in the first round, says Jim. You might not be wrong. If they get the Bulls, though, they're gonna be fine. They'll get to the second round. Coaching staff is holding back the development of Maxey. If you have Harden next year or Beal, there you go. Don't have the right coaching staff, it's going to look the same. You're not wrong. Alyssa, probably blame Rieger for the loss. Probably. Rieger might be a better basketball coach than Doc. Can't be worse than our bench. Very true. Mullet petition for Alvarado. Remember the iconic shot of Doc Rivers with his hands on his head? I see more of that coming, sadly. Yeah, you're not wrong. Mally, tell me how the hell you got hair and skinny ass. Tell me how the hell you got hair on that. Tell me how the hell you got hair on that shiny ass dome at the same time. I mean, like a bald, shiny dome glare. That's a good point. I don't know. All right, Jim. I blame Morey. He knew how bad the bench was, and he's done nothing. But here's what I don't like. There was a couple of games there where it felt like the bench was starting to figure it out. And I started to be like, okay, well, now I'm not having as much of a problem with the rotation as we had been having before. Like, it felt like Doc had figured it out. And then he didn't have Joel Embiid match the minutes of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's got nobody else to play defense on Giannis that would have success, especially in the stretch run in the end of the third and beginning of the fourth quarter. So for me, that was when Doc kind of reared his ugly head again on not knowing how to handle the rotation. What? Jim, go Phillies. April, this lineup is fire. Eflin looked pretty good yesterday. Yeah, he has looked pretty good. That's from Mally. Sean, Duck Rivers just needs to retouch the hair tattoo. All right, I think we get it with the hair tattoos. Allegedly. Phillies got a "you up" text after the Sixers game last night. Alyssa, well played. Ray, Bohm probably will start the season in the minors. Yeah, probably. Segura should bat second. He has better bat control than Hoskins, and he also takes pitches. Like Hoskins. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but here's the thing, and this is why I had Segura leading off in my previous lineup, and now I'm totally on the bandwagon for Schwarber to lead off. But I remember I had Hoskins batting sixth, and I had Segura leading off, but I feel like because they're, I guess, franchise players, Hoskins is going to be in a position of prominence in the order, which will be second. Harper will be in a position of prominence in the order as well, which will be third. And then that's where your new guy, Castellanos, comes in, followed by Real Muto as the protection at the plate, batting behind Castellanos. So that's something that I think will bear fruit and be more of a regular thing as the season goes on, or when the season starts up, I should say. Segura probably bat second. He has better bat good. Yeah, Ray, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but I think when it comes to what is actually going to happen, I think they're going to want Hoskins there in the two spot, and they're going to want Harper there batting third, because you want your best player eventually, a fan favorite coming to the bat in the first inning every game. I agree with you guys on Segura batting second. I just don't think it's going to happen. That lineup is therapeutic. New hope. Yeah, you're right, Sean. Serenity now. Wow, Alyssa really loves this lineup. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna sound like a real boomer. So when a comment is pinned, you guys can see that it's pinned. That's not PJ just telling me. Hey, idiot! Look at this. I'm gonna go play my records now. He's a big dumb idiot, isn't he, folks? Gene Segura, the best bet cut. Oh, wait. Gene Segura is the best contact hitter on the team. Hoskins has too many swings and misses. Ray, I agree. PJ, we don't deserve you. April, you're right. We don't. Kevin, what's up, Kevin? I would like to get rid of Tony. You mean Toby? I think I mean Toby. I would like to get rid of Toby as well. Speaking of David Akers, I completely forgot he was on the 2012 49ers Super Bowl team. That's right, John, he was. To be honest, while Beal answers some questions, I think I'd take that money for Beal and invest it into some role players and much needed bench pieces. I think they can. I honestly think they could do both. The Sixers play defense as well as an average one and done team in college. Kevin, you're not wrong. April, so glad I'm off today. Least favorite day of the year. Why is say least favorite day of the year? What's today? Here's why I don't acknowledge April Fools. My mom's birthday is tomorrow. So for me, April Fool's was like not even a thought. It was like, I got to get something for mom. You know what I mean? So got to do that. Yeah, hearing the crack of the bat yesterday, Kevin, was great. Yeah, Toby, freaking autocorrect, Kevin. I'm picking up what you're putting down. April, yes, it is April Fool's Day. As a kid, I liked it because I didn't have to do anything for mom except draw her a picture. You know what I mean? But like as like when you actually had expectations of like getting mom a decent gift when you're like a teenager, yeah, April Fool's went out the window. Thanks everybody in the chat. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. There's an SNL sketch that comes to mind when I think of that lineup with Andy Samberg. That a guy. Wait, Mullet, you're in Okinawa, Japan? All right, cool. Dario? I don't think Dario is watching in Serbia. Yep, I think I got everybody. Thanks very much, guys. You guys are awesome, as per usual. All right, let's jump into the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Told you guys before, the Sixers are going to be back in action tomorrow afternoon in Charlotte. See how that game goes out. 12:30 start time. Sixers, once again, have 6 games left in the regular season, and we're all nervous. But as of right now, the Sixers would play the Bulls if the season ended today in the playoffs, and that's kind of where we're looking. We'll find out what happens with Bryson Stott in the not-too-distant future, about him coming north with the club, about him going to the minors, whatever it might be. We'll keep our eyes peeled throughout the weekend. Villanova, ladies and gentlemen, they're tipping off. What is it? 4:09 start time? I thought I had their start time in front of me. I don't have their start time in front of me. Villanova is taking on in the Final Four Kansas. That is a 6:09 start time, excuse me. Both games of the Final Four are going to be on TBS. Duke, North Carolina. Still can't believe it's the first time they're ever facing off against each other in the NCAA tournament. Villanova and Kansas tip off 6:09. Then they are an 8:49 tip off between Duke and North Carolina. 38 Final Four appearances between those two teams. It's amazing. Villanova, Kansas, tomorrow evening, 6:09, ladies and gentlemen. Last I checked, Villanova was a +4 underdog, 4.5 now, +4.5 underdog. So we'll see how they round things out in this game. Over under in that one is 134. I don't like the Cats in this game, unfortunately. I like the Jayhawks. Now, what is interesting is that over the last 14 years, when these teams have faced each other in the NCAA tournament, the winner of their games, the 3 times they faced off, have gone on to win the national championship. We got a couple of Hall of Fame head coaches going against each other in this game, in Bill Self and Jay Wright, and we'll see how Villanova overcomes the loss of a pretty damn good starter, if you ask me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. That's the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. From the Steven Singer Studios, my name is Mark Farzetta for the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, DestinationRetirement.com. Check out my man, Mike Seibert. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And yes, it is April Fool's, so if you hear something that's tough to believe, it's probably not true. It's probably not true. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.